Hello, everybody. I'm Pao, and I welcome you to the Spanglish Work and Heart Network on Zingo channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download a Zingo TV app on download it. Please make sure that you leave a comment. You let us know how are we doing. What are the you know subjects that you would like for us to cover? To what guests you want me to invite? Well, you download, like I said, please leave a comment. That the app is totally free. You can find Go TV app on Google Chromecast, on Amazon Fire TV sticks, on Roku sticks, and all smart TVs from 2016 and forward. Thank you all for being here and joining us. Welcome back. If you're new, welcome to this journey. We're here to provide information to help your life to be brighter. And today we have a beautiful guest. Her name is Adriana Giraldo. She is a certified instructor in NLP. She's also a leadership instructor, and I welcome her. Thank you for being here, Adriana.
Thank you. Thank you for having me as always.
Yes, please share with our audience a little bit about you so that they can get to know you a little more.
Awesome. So, well, first of all, I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, and we have a tornado warning. So, I'm glitchy, it's probably because it's like it's raining hard.
Oh,
So,
wow.
just hopefully everything goes good. So,
Yes.
I want to give that disclaimer in case I sound glitchy. So yeah, thank you for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure being here. So a little bit of me. So I my background is leadership coaching and also coaching entrepreneurs and people that are in transition, life transition in general, and we're all doing that at some point in our lives. So my background, there is a little bit of neurolinguistic programming, somatics, a little bit of cognitive behavioral, so there's a little bit of everything. So I love to call my practice is more like an integrative coaching, because we're an integrative human, right? We're not just made of one. So yeah, that's a little bit of me. And I just, love having a conversation, especially during this time of the year.
Yeah, so please share with us, what are the tools or strategies, or how can we start this year with fulfillment?
Awesome. So fulfillment is something that everybody's after, right? If we can take one thing in common for everyone, is everyone wants fulfillment. Everybody wants to feel at peace, content, satisfied, happy, joyful, whatever that word or whatever that zing is for you. So, and actually, it's kind of funny because I will be talking about this week about the 5 mistakes in terms of setting goals, right? And I call goals quote unquote because there's a hyper, we get very hyped up, right? This is a new start of the year. This is a reset. And many times we get to do the same thing we're doing, is just in a different manner. So put in a different way is, if we are going for something that we've never had, we it's not that we have to do something that we've never done. That's what this old saying says, right? If you want something that you've never had, you have to do something that you've never done, right? But there's a piece, a really one ingredient, very component that is missing, and that is, if you want to get if you want to do something that you've never done, is like, who do you need to become,
Love it.
right? And that's what everybody misses. Is like, yes, I'm just gonna be doing this new thing, and I'm just gonna, start, putting the alarm, whatever that is, if it's health, if it's related, if it's transition, if it's, new career, new business, right? But the being piece is what's missing. So that's something that you see over there, right there,
Yeah.
right? So it's like the H factor. We cannot go in a pendulum swing, right? We cannot be all doing, or being, or having. There has to be a balance between those three. The problem is that when we come at the beginning of the year, we're just gonna start doing right off the get-go. And that's what fails.
Thank you.
So
Yes, it is a
mhm.
mix between, like I said, doing, and I'm writing it down.
Yeah.
Doing, being, and having.
Yes, yes. Yeah. So just imagine for a second, if we and a lot of people take weight loss for as an example, right? Yes, you're gonna be doing something different, but you're still gonna be carrying around all the baggage, all the old thinking, right? All the patterns and the unconscious patterns of thinking are still gonna be there. So yes, the behavior is changing, but it's just momentarily. So, and we're pulling our motivation or drive. Yeah, we're gonna be doing this, but it gets to a point where it gets tiring, and that's when we give in. It's like, screw it. I'm not seeing the results I was expecting. Might as well go back to my old self. Which, if you think about it, it's been you all along. You never changed. Your being never changed.
Wow.
Yeah. So in
That
order,
is
Mhm.
profound.
Yeah. So in order for us to actually create long lasting, because I'm all for that, right? We're all in a transformation, we're all in a change. And if we want long lasting and sustainable change, which is the key portion, is not just change for the sake of changing and transforming for the sake of transforming, but if we want long lasting change, is we need to add that component to that. It's like that three part right there, which is the green one. Hopefully it's like I'm putting my finger right there. That's the one that is missing, and that's gonna create who you are, basically.
Yeah. That, yeah, it is true. It's like long lasting change. What's
Hmm.
going to sustain? If we want, if this 2023, we're going to focus on being healthier, being
Hmm.
more disciplined towards like working out, eating healthier. We want those new habits to sustain us through the whole year in the years to come because that's good for us. So,
Right.
in order for us to tilt to a new mindset of health, so there has to be some being, doing, and having, like you're
Yep.
mentioning, in our
Hmm.
life, in
Hmm.
this new year. So that's beautiful. Yes.
Hmm.
And, you know, I would like to, because it just popped up in my head as you were
Hmm.
sharing your information, is like life, you know, and I'm talking from my experience, life is always, no, I'm not going to say a battle, but it's like as we go through our journey, you're always dealing with your internal world.
Hmm.
And you're also dealing with the external world of being accepted, of being loved,
Hmm.
and being like, you go, girl, I got you,
Hmm.
I'm proud of you.
Hmm.
And maybe you're starting this new 2022 and you're going to have those bumps in your journey where if people are not telling you, wow, you're thinner. Oh, wow,
Hmm.
I see the new change in you. If the external world is, you're not, is not being fulfilled with acceptance and love because that's our nature. We want to be loved. We want to be accepted. We want to say, we want people to be like, hey, I see what you're doing. Good job.
Good job. Yeah.
Yes. And then whenever it's not happening, then you go
Mhm.
into your internal world and you said self-doubt kicks in, you know, uh, you say, well, what's the matter? It's like, I don't see the results I'm looking for. What's the point of, spending this time, spending the money or whatever, your goal that you are setting for 2022. And then we give up. So it's like,
Right.
I wanted to bring this awareness as well to our beautiful audience that in life, there's times where we adopt a new project. Maybe you started a new job and you're not seeing that. I see you, girl. It's like
Mhm.
you're putting all you 100%. You
Mhm.
might not be hearing it. You might not be, feeling, experiencing in your everyday life. So
Mhm.
internally, you might think, well, maybe I'm not adequate for the job. Maybe I'm
Mhm.
not the leader that I thought I was. And then you
Mhm.
begin to, so it's a constant uh, dance
It is.
that we have to learn how
Mhm.
to be, like you were saying, do and have,
Mhm.
so that we're in harmony
Mhm.
with our journey and our new goals for this year.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you just hit it right on the nail. External validation is one of, I think it's one of the biggest, I'm going to call it demon for lack of a better word, because that's a reference for comparison, right? Is it, am I doing a good job based on whom or what, right? It's always when you, that self-doubt, and that's what I, what I tell leaders and the people that I coach is like, based on whom or what? Like you're I'm not, you're not good enough, you're not XYZ enough, or whatever is it that you're putting in, you're diminishing everything, all your efforts, is because there's an external comparison. So based on whom or what, and also looking at that standard. So this analogy came to mind the other day. It's like we always compare our journey, and this is one of the biggest mistakes when we're setting goals, right? We set our vision onto the goal, right? It's right there. However, we forget about the path on how to get there, right? And the path is the most important thing, right? Because it's not only reaching the mountaintop or whatever goal that is what happens along the way from point A, from where you're right now, to point B, where you're gonna be, right? So the thing is, like, what happens in that path? So let's say you're starting your goal right now, right? But if you're starting right now, and then let's say you start driving, and let's say we're gonna go to the same location, right? Or maybe a similar location, because it's usually not the same. Your goal is not the same as anybody else's. So but you're wanting to, let's say you're wanting to go, let's say I want to go to New York, and you are going to Chicago, right? So I'm trying to drive to New York, taking the route to Chicago. That doesn't work. So it's like, oh, but the path is more beautiful. Like, look at this, look at how she's doing or how he's doing, or they're, having a better XYZ, fill in the blank, right? We're always comparing our journey to somebody else's when the destinations are completely different. We
Yeah.
think they're the same, but they're not.
Because we're unique.
Exactly. So
We are
even,
unique.
yeah, let's say, even if, because I say it a lot with entrepreneurs, even if, let's say, I want to build passive income, that's the overarching goal, right? But truly underneath, those things will be completely different. It will be completely like your passive income. It could be, let's put it even, I will challenge it even better. The monetary passive income even could even be the same. However, the motivators, the intrinsic motivators for having that passive income are completely different. And we're looking to do for fulfill our goal following somebody else's path. That will never work. Never. Never.
Yes, that's right. Because it's like we are, we come with our very own unique ingredients.
Yes.
And we have to understand that here we go back, it's like our brain is programmed for survival. Our brain
Okay.
is programmed for survival.
Hmm.
So it tends to compare to
Hmm.
keep you alive.
Yes.
And sometimes, it's like we follow that
Hmm.
survival mechanism. So we try to shelter ourselves to play it safe because
Hmm.
we want to be accepted,
Hmm.
and to be accepted, you have to follow what the majority are doing,
Right. You need to
and
blend in, right? Yeah,
you
you need
have
to
to
blend
blend
in.
in. Yeah, you have to
Right.
blend in. You have to be quiet. You have to follow, the same rhythm that they're following so that you feel accepted.
Hmm.
And then you kind of stop your insecurities because now you belong. We're all looking for belonging. As an immigrant, you and
Right.
I know this.
Right. Yeah,
It's like
exactly. Exactly.
you I'm different. It's like I'm different, but I'm not different. I'm gonna learn to
Different.
speak. Here we are. It's like we practice that we
Hmm.
don't want to have an accent, but we do have an accent. It's like we're example of not
Hmm.
trying to be different, knowing that we're different.
Okay. Oh yeah, big time.
It's like here. I mean, we lived it, guys. All of our
Mhm.
beautiful audience is like we're talking from the heart and from
Yes.
the experience.
Yes.
So as humans, we like the brain is trying to keep us alive. That's it.
Hmm.
So we try to be as quiet as we can to blend in because there is a need in the heart to belong.
Right. Right.
So sometimes we're willing to give up our goals because I'd rather be safe and comfortable where people make me feel like I belong.
Exactly.
But sometimes in like you have a divine purpose.
Mhm. Yes.
Here we go again. There is a divinity within us and there is the ego.
Hmm.
So whenever we choose to use that divinity within us,
Hmm.
then we find that being, like you were saying,
Hmm.
that doing and having take us to achieve our goals. But it's not easy because here we go again. We don't want to be different. We don't want to be different because we're going after our goals. But our nature wants to connect and feel loved. And
Right.
I know it doesn't make sense. It's like we want to go after our goals, but in order to go after our goals, we have to be different. But in our
Right.
nature, we don't want to be different. We want to blend in. So we're always in the battle of like, I want to be thin,
Hmm.
but if I lose that weight, maybe my
Hmm.
family is gonna make fun of me and
Oh my
they're gonna make you feel
gosh. Yes.
uncomfortable. And then you're like, okay,
Hmm.
I'll eat the quesadilla. It's okay. I want to blend with them. So we
Hmm.
live in a journey of like, I just want to be, fit because I think that's my calling. I just want to be healthy. But then you hang
Hmm.
around some of your favorite people, and then it's like, okay, I'll eat the cake.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this is just so like what you just said. It's so true, and it goes across not only when it comes to a health goal, right? So let's say think about it. You like if you wanted to lose weight or make a drastic change in your health, right? And even if it's not to lose weight, but maybe change your eating habits, right? That means the people that you're hanging out with, all your habits, everything, the relationships will be different because then you'll be you'll be scrutinized. You'll be asked why you're not eating the meat, the cake, the rice, if you're eating too much salad, that's a problem. And if you're eating too much of this, that's a problem. If you become too thin, like, oh my gosh, then that's a problem. And then when you go, let's say, when you start making too much money, I've seen that again and again with entrepreneurs too. Is like, well, my family doesn't like now it's looking me weird, or now, now I'm feeling like I'm outside of like they don't understand my challenges. I cannot communicate. I don't have any support, and I'm just simplifying, the money or the success because many times success is it doesn't equal money. Success is in the eye of the beholder, right? But this is just to continue to put an example. So once we start and that's the other thing is like when we start changing, when we start going for what we want, this is the other thing. Our environment does not change with us. Many times it does, and it's a process. However, it's almost like we need to adjust our environment or teacher environment. So I'll give you a perfect example. So embarking in personal development, if the person that you're with is not doing the same journey, it's going to be a different experience. If one person is an entrepreneur, the other person is not, it's going to be a different type of communication. If one person is more, more health inclined than the other one, put in whatever context that is your environment. And this is the expectations, the shock and expectations, right? We're expecting that our environment's either going to be accepting and with open arms or is going to change with us, and that rarely happens. It's like, yeah, no, first of all they're going to be asking questions, and second of all they might not be willing to change, and we need to accept that fact as well.
True. If you can inspire them, you do
Right.
inspire. With your
Right.
behavior, you do inspire. Even if they don't let you know,
Eventually. Hmm.
you do inspire. So
Yes.
here is where, and here goes to like, this is true story, like through this journey. And I think it probably has happened to you, Adriana, when it's like through this journey where it's like you think, or you hear comments where it's like, well, she's doing it for attention. And then that gets your self-esteem and is like, oh my gosh, am I doing it for attention? And then you look back, you look back and it's like, okay, have this conversation with your divine power, because in my story, I'm connected to my divine power and I'm following what he wants me
Mhm.
to do.
Right.
And he's like, and then in our conversation, he's like, well, are you doing it for attention? He's like, well, no, I'm not doing it for attention. I'm doing it for love, and then gratitude
Mhm.
and inspiring. I was like, okay, well, then go
Mhm.
for it. You're not doing it for attention. You keep going. But
Mhm.
we trip, what I mean, is there's pauses in our process of our goals, that because the external, because you don't think you're inspiring at 100%, like you
Mhm.
wish to, uh, then here we go back. You don't feel the acceptance, so that you get that pause.
It's like,
But here
oh.
we,
Mhm.
yes, but it's just like you were saying, is you might not change the environment at one,
Mhm.
100% at one time, but they're watching you. You're
Yes.
inspiring by your actions if you're truly doing it from your heart, not from ego, but from the
Mhm.
heart and with that divine purpose. It's like, keep going, please keep going. Do not allow society to stop you just because you don't see a feedback, just because you don't see like the clapping or the "at a girl, keep going."
Mhm.
You change. I read a comment or a post you did, and I love that. It's like, you might not hear that, but you
Mhm.
continue to show up, because
Mhm.
you're molding you as you continue to being, doing, and having, like you mentioned at
Mhm.
the beginning. I have one comment that he says, how do I eat? My mother will never allow it. I'm guessing dieting. Just tell
Right.
mama you want to eat healthier.
Right. And that's a great question, right? It's so the conversation, and maybe we'll be deviating for that, and maybe we can save it for another episode. The concept of eating is more profound than that. And just because I have the background in the eating psychology and the dynamics of all that is, right? Eating is more than just eating. Food is more than just food, especially when it comes with families and depending, especially the background of that family. So, food is a lot of times a way to express love, to feel comfort. And we feel the reason why we feel comforted when we eat is because it's in the same neural pathway, right? We don't have a bunch of highway. We just have, pretty simple ones. And the one that when we eat and feel the comfort is the same thing. So many times when we're lacking that connection, right? That sense of belonging, that we're not connected, we need to comfort and fulfill that somehow. Now, food is the easiest and fastest way to do it, right? So now if you take it with, mom and family dynamics, then of course there's going to be more more challenging than just saying, yeah, I let's start, it just I'm going to eat that and I'm going to invite my mom over. It might take a while, it might take a little bit of a conversation. So it is a fascinating question, and maybe we'll hold it for another episode because there's a lot of things that we can go and dive into.
Yes. Okay. We'll do that. We'll have you back and we'll do
Mhm.
a month for health, and we'll
Mhm.
talk about eating healthy. One thing I wanted to mention, because I picture a girl, as you were talking about, whenever you cannot change the environment, I will invite you all
Mhm.
to practice this 2022, to stop criticizing you, like stop auto sabotaging you, and stop criticizing others and see how
Mhm.
it goes. Like
Yes.
stop telling you how bad you're doing. Stop telling you, how you're not disciplined enough. Stop telling you, all those negative phrases that are going to get you,
Mhm.
to stop doing your goal or working towards your goals. Like, stop sabotaging you by stopping criticizing you, and see how it goes. Because success builds on top of success.
Mhm.
So begin to analyze your talents. What are you
Mhm.
good at? What are the goodness that you bring to the family, that you bring to the workplace? What are
Mhm.
you proud of you the most? And then when things don't go your way, then do not overreact, but begin to think, okay, how can I do it better?
Mhm.
I did that. Cool, good. I was able to do that. Okay, how can I do it even better? And I
Mhm.
think that will also change how we live with fulfillment, whenever we stop the self criticism and
Mhm.
also criticizing others, and just to seek to understand,
Mhm.
like you might not be able to change the environment
Mhm.
in one day, in 1 week, or 1 month, right? But begin to stop criticizing you, I think,
Mhm.
is a big one, so that you can begin to get to know you, to understand you, so that you get to accept you and see beyond, beyond yourself, and see the beautiful
Mhm.
life that you have ahead of you. Once
Mhm.
I think once it's just a journey, that once we get to understand why we do what we do, and then we get to accept who we are, you
Mhm.
know, I'm from Mexico and I'm not going to be able to change it. I have an
Mhm.
accent,
Mhm.
and now I love it. It's mine. I earned it.
Exactly.
Because I used to hate it. I used
Yeah.
to be embarrassed,
Same
you
here.
know.
Mhm.
But it's like once you learn to understand, and then accept the things that makes you unique. That sometimes, I used to not like my color of skin, because when I was younger, I thought, I heard a comment that white
Mhm.
people, were more welcoming. So me, and
Mhm.
how can I be? And I remember I would blend rice, and I would do all kinds of things to put on my skin when I was a teenager. But now it's like, no, this is my
Mhm.
color of skin. It's like, and it's a process. So I invite you guys to learn to understand you, learn to
Mhm.
accept you for who you are. And
Mhm.
once we learn to accept, then we can see way beyond of what life has to offer us,
Mhm. Oh my
and
gosh.
stop criticizing us.
Mhm. Yes. And one thing that I wanted to, you just mentioned a couple of things that really inspired me. So one, so yes, the environment will change. It's not that it will not change. It will change, but many times it will change the way it is supposed to, right? So many times what happens is that we put too much pressure on, it's the expectations that we have about how the environment is supposed to change, right? And many times it changes in ways that we will be surprised and we didn't even think about, and it's actually better. So that's kind of my comment with that was like, don't it's more like paying attention to the expectations that we have about the environment and about ourselves. And that goes with what you said, is many times we're expecting too much of ourselves. And it's not that it's too much, it's too much because it's not even for us to be that person, right? We're looking to be somebody else. So how do we stop, the self-criticism, right? Like, how do we stop, the chattering? One of the quickest way to do it is like, what would you like instead? Like, if you don't want to be XYZ, or I don't want, or whatever negative you want, is like, then what would you like instead? What that would shift, even in your language, that will shift the way you are seeing and framing things. Is, okay, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't like this, I don't like that. So, okay, what would you like instead? What do you want instead for you? And I
I
think
love
that's the
that.
quickest way to do that. Hmm.
Yeah, like first thing that pops in my mind, it could be an environment, a toxic environment at work. I don't know why,
Hmm.
but that came to my mind. So if you're aware of that, if you don't like it, what
Hmm.
would you like instead? In your mind, how could you change it? It could be
Hmm.
not participating. Instead of
Right.
eating lunch with them, listen to the audiobook, or,
Hmm.
read a book, or find something that's
Hmm.
going to help you grow in this year. And slowly, maybe you inspire somebody else to do the same. And then you guys start
Hmm.
a book club. And, slowly that environment could change. Another thing that came to my mind, Adriana, is letting go. Sometimes we're so attached to, like, but it has to be this way.
Oh,
And we
gosh. Yeah.
suffer when we attach to what it has to be, but it has to be this way, then we suffer.
Hmm.
But when you learn
Hmm.
to, it's like, let go, be the best version of
Hmm.
yourself. And if that circumstances, if the environment doesn't change, it's not up to you. As long as you're,
Right.
like, do your best to show up, and then it's like, let it go. I think we create
It's
our
like,
own suffering where it's like, no, but it's like, it has to be this way. because that's the way
Mhm.
you see it. But like you
Mhm.
ask the question, well, how could it, how could it look, how could you fulfill that in the
Mhm.
terms that you have right now? How could you make it better with who you are? How
Mhm.
can you show up,
Mhm.
instead of like, you cannot, we just cannot I cannot control how my husband behaves, and I cannot control how my kids behave, but I control how I can show up and
Mhm.
inspire them in a way that I want the interaction to. I mean, I now went from the office to the family.
Yeah, there you go.
But
But everything is interrelated.
yeah, it's real life. Real
Yep,
life.
it, it's real life. So that's the other thing is, which you brought a good point is, many times the conflict and the internal conflict comes from how we're showing up in with our friends, with our family. It's not the same person that is showing up at work. It's not the same person that is showing up, at this, doing a business, or it is not the same as showing up in many. So many times we have different facades, right? This is the way I'm supposed to perform and be at work, right? But there's a complete different persona there than when the person that is at home or the person that is with friends. And yes, of course, there always be differences, but many times when those differences are like kind of night and day, black and white, then that's when you start getting those kind of internal conflicts and internal conversations that you have. You start having that narrative going on. So it's like that alignment in terms of the person that is showing up, right? So in that diagram, right? So part of the doing and the being is part of the doing is being a performer. We're taught to perform, to be in a certain way, to behave in a certain manner, right? Either to not, to rock the boat or things like that, right? But on the being, there's always a protector and a preserver. And it's not only a protector and a preserver, but it's two combined. They're wanting to maintain what's happening, what it feels comfortable right now, and they're also keeping it safe. So there's always that battle between those. It's almost like three people at the same time. So when we don't know who's showing up, and that's the problem. And it's very automatic. It's very unconscious, and we all do it. I'll do it. Sometimes there are times when you need to perform, and then you need to be the person
Yeah.
that you need to be at that moment, right? So we all do it, and we'll continue to do it. It's just, again, finding that balance and knowing that, okay, if I was out of character, if I was doing something that sometimes we do things and it's like, who in the heck was that person? That wasn't me. I don't even know where that came from, right? Many times that's the performing right now, right there in the doing. So it's fascinating just asking, like, who was that person that showed up?
Are you having a training here pretty soon?
I'm having a training later in a couple hours. Well, it's at 7. It's standard time, but it's going to be about the 5 mistakes of goal setting, and it introduces a lot of these aspects right here.
Okay. How can we promote it? So if any of our audience would like to join, are they
Yes,
welcome? Okay.
of course. I can send you the link. Yes. So I decided to talk about goal setting in a manner that is, yes, we know they're smart, and this is not for me to bash the smart model or anything like that, because I think there is some good, there's good science behind it, there's good rationale behind it, but at the same time there is this thing about what are the mechanics, right? Like, what's happening in the background. Once we set the smart thing, it's plastered there, it's put on the wall, we did it, we have some tracking mechanisms, we have some systems, but then underneath there is a layer. So it's like, how can we navigate that layer underneath, so that those goals actually work. So I'll kind of gonna be decoding that, and I don't know, where can I put the link? Let me know.
You know what? Like whenever, as soon as the show's over, I can post it on YouTube.
Okay,
All of you guys,
perfect.
you can go to my YouTube page, Paola Guthrie, and you're gonna be able to see the picture of Adriana and me. and the link should be on the description. Please subscribe to my channel. Give us feedback. What do you want us to talk about? I love inviting Adriana because I think we have a very well,
Yeah,
flow of
I love it.
information. It just flows great. So, it's like, tell us what subjects you want me to bring, who you want me to
Mhm,
invite. And yeah, this show is for service. Is to show you guys like what I've learned to grow,
mhm,
to be able to get to the point to accept myself and share with you all what has worked for me. And then Adriana, the
mhm.
same, what has worked for her.
Same.
And we
Mhm.
do it, from the bottom of our heart, like with the purpose to serve and better other people's lives. So yeah, that's awesome. I'll do that. I'll post it on the YouTube channel. So how can we build
Perfect.
confidence, as we work towards our goals in this year? I think
Mhm,
confidence is needed for us
mhm,
to continue to go without having, accountability is, I love it. I love to have
mhm,
accountability. Sometimes I think we need to build our self-confidence to continue to like paddle that bike without the training wheels.
mhm. Yes, that's such a good and big question. So there are a couple. Here are my own thoughts about that. So confidence is one thing that we all seek. That's just like fulfillment, right? And just like fulfillment, that's something that is also, it's not something is stagnant. It's not something that we're just confident 100%, we're done. We did it. We're confident. Yes, we made it, right? It's the same thing with fulfillment. Confidence, it's supposed to be dynamic, because in the lack of, right, of confidence is where it's going to show us the opportunities that we have to grow. Now we automatically default to self-judgment. Oh, it's just, that's it, right? But confidence, if you think about it, there are different models that work with confidence, right? We can work with your self concept first, and then you can build your confidence and all that, your self esteem. But confidence really is about trust. It's trusting who you are at any given moment. Can you show up as you? Can you be the person that you want to be at that moment? It's a trusting moment and it's an given point, and it will change. Because I will challenge anybody. When you say I don't have any confidence, there's at least one area, at least even if it's tiny, tiny, tiny area on your life where you can show up confidently. Now, if you said, well, I am not confident talking to, a million people, or, I'm not confident to, doing this, X, Y, Z, for everybody's going to be different. Like, I'm not confident, going to the gym. I'm not confident, whatever that is, for everybody's different, right? There's one area where when you can be there and show up like you. So the question for me to, when people has like having, I don't have comfort, I'm not confident, is like, what area you're not trusting yourself? In what area you're not trusting yourself to show up like you want to show up, and define that gap. So how is it that you want to show up in that context, and how you're showing up right now, right? That's how you build the confidence in that area.
Like a lot of people want great marriage, but they don't know how to
Right.
show up to build that marriage. So that's awesome.
Exactly.
Whereas like, how can I build the confidence that I
Hmm.
am the wife or the husband,
Hmm.
that I choose
Hmm.
to be to create this
Hmm. Right.
marriage.
So is the trust, and sometimes, trust sounds like an esoteric word, like it's a mystical, like, oh yeah, I'm trusting life, or but really it's like, if you kind of break it down, it's also knowing, it's a sense of knowing of how is it that you're gonna show up at that moment. And if you don't know, because you haven't done it before, because you've done it and you fail, yes, that may show us a lack of confidence. But you're just referencing something that you experience. That doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to, to improve it. So how do we tackle this confidence aspect, is asking questions. And actually, instead, so this is what I'm challenging a lot of my clients and students is, Okay. So if you, mm, we are very poor, and I'm talking, I'm not in, not in, because English is my second language or anything like that. Even English speaking people, and I'm not talking only US. We tend to default to certain phrases or words to define our state of being. I'm sad, I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm pissed, I don't have any confidence, right? Immediately once you put that stamp, you just you label it that way, right? So of course, everything that is not going to be pleasant is going to be attached to that, right? Now, if there's anything like, so the challenge is like, well, if there's not lack of confidence, then what is it? Is that I don't trust them, I don't feel safe, I don't feel connected, I don't feel any connection with these people, or I don't feel like I know enough. I need more. See, so then that expands a lot of other possibilities that doesn't they don't have to do anything with confidence. So it's actually challenging us to say, okay, it is not confidence, because I can show up confidently in other areas. So what is it then? Yeah.
So, could I ask our audience, how can you build confidence in this 2023?
Mhm.
Because it's about who you're becoming, like you mentioned at the
Mhm.
beginning of the show. So, if
Yes.
we can like tackle confidence in a
Mhm.
different way, they're going to be able to
Mhm.
grow. We're going to be able
Exactly.
to be, do, and have
Mhm.
better experience in this year.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. How is it that we want to show up? And that's kind of the biggest question too. And we questions are our best friends, even if we don't have the answers. It just opens up a full realm of possibilities and say, no, I never thought about that.
We only have 1 minute left. I want to, show you my gratitude, and I'm so excited that you're here with us, and you found time for us to bring great information to inspire people to start the year strong, because we're capable. And what is
Mhm.
beautiful is like you're helping us to maintain, like have the awareness of like how can we maintain this
Yeah.
mindset for the whole year. So thank you so much. Is there a final message that you want to deliver to our audience today?
My final message is challenge yourself to be someone different this year. What would that look like? Like, even if you were to even dream about it, who would you want to be? Not do, but who would you want to be? And then just write three qualities that you would like to be, because that in and of itself is just going to open so many good things. It's going to be so many introspections for people. So,
Thank you. Yes. And if you write those three characteristics, make sure, you
mhm,
write it down where you can see it every day. Because it's like that's, part of your new identity. Maybe you want to be more loving. Maybe you want to laugh more often. Maybe you want to be more responsible, more disciplined. But it's like only
yeah.
it's the version of you being loving, it's the version of you being disciplined, it's the version of you
Mhm,
being more
mhm,
happier. It's your version. No Adriana's, not mine, you, because you are
mhm.
authentic. Yes. So go to my YouTube channel. So as soon as this is over, I'm going to post her link so that you can join her training. And I guess as we sign up, we'll get more information. Thank you so much for being here. Remember that you are who gives power to your talents, because you are unique. You are the only one who gives life to your dreams. Thank you so much for listening today. This show can also be heard on Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Blessings to you all. Have a wonderful 2023, and we'll see you here on Dingo TV. Blessings. Thank